Martha had kept the porch light on every evening for as long as anyone could remember. It was the kind of light that made late-night runs to the grocery feel less lonely, the kind that turned the chipped white rocking chairs into silhouettes for passing teenagers to whisper about. People in the neighborhood called her and Henry's house the safe light. They didn't know why exactly, but they trusted it the way you trust an old song, familiar, soft, and steady. Henry used to joke that the light was a lighthouse for wandering grandchildren. He'd call them in from the yard with a pocket full of hard candy, and they'd clamber up the steps 2 at a time. Those were noisy, bright years, birthday pies with candles piled high, 4th of July sparklers that left tiny burn marks on the porch railing. When the children were small, Henry read The Velveteen Rabbit out loud until his voice frayed, and Martha hummed as she stitched names into school sweaters. Then life honed its teeth. Their son, David, was gone by 42 sudden, a hospital room that smelled of antiseptic, and the quiet aluminum clink of machines. The house that once held so much laughter took on a stillness that seemed to settle into the drapes. David's absence was the kind of silence that made clocks too loud. The grandchildren, scattered by work and college, and the life you have to live, returned in small, aching increments. They tried not to fall apart in front of Henry and Martha, who themselves were learning how to carry grief at their age. Grief changed Henry. He stopped humming. He started leaving the paper folded on the armchair, untouched. Martha, who had always been practical, learned to cook less and to sit more. But she kept the porch light on. She said it was a promise that someone would always be waiting, that the house would never close itself like a mouth around a secret. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the ritual of waiting became something else. Grandchildren arrived at different hours with new partners, baby strollers, and bags of grocery store cookies. They found the porch light, and with it a patient presence. Henry began to muffle his coughs with a joke. His hands, which had once fixed radios and assembled bicycles, remembered how to peel apples for a pie. Martha learned how to make a text thread that actually worked: photos, recipes, a dozen tiny videos of a grandbaby's first steps. She sent them with a single line: porch lights on. One night, after a quiet dinner of mashed potatoes and roasted carrots, the oldest granddaughter asked Henry why the light stayed on. He looked at Martha as if he were reading a letter she had written long ago. Because someone might need to see their way home, he said slowly. And because when you lose someone, you put more light in the world, not less. That line threaded through their family like a new song. It showed up on birthday cards and in whispered toasts. The grandchildren started coming back more often, bringing homework, wedding plans, and casseroles wrapped in foil. They sat on the porch and told stories about the son who loved bad puns, and the small brave ways he'd braced a child through a storm. They cried sometimes, they laughed more. The porch light hummed above them like an old friend who knew how to listen. When Henry finally went older, peacefully, under a quilt that smelled of lavender, the light didn't go out. Martha kept it on, now for both of them. It hung like a promise, a warm signal that rooms could be rebuilt around memories, and that family, though reshaped by loss, could learn to gather again. Years later, a new generation learned to climb those same steps. Little feet pounded where older feet had pounded. Someone would inevitably ask why the light stayed on. The answer, passed down like a recipe, was simple: because someone might need to see their way home. And in that, the house kept giving what it always had: room, warmth, and a steady, forgiving glow.